and guide our thoughts and guide us to do what's best for the community. I ask that you be with Sean's father and put your hands on him and be with the family as they're with him. I ask you to protect those that serve us in any capacity, be it EMS, police, fire, and those that serve our country. Heavenly Father, we thank you for everything that you've given us, and in Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Okay, at this time, any person who visits before the court not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the court. No formal action can be taken on these items at this meeting. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Okay, thank you. The court consider approval of previous court minutes. Any thoughts on the previous minutes? Any corrections?
Sorry, I'm in late. They're there. I got a couple of them in.
We got you.
Did I make a motion that we approve the minutes as written?
Good morning, Terry. I didn't think it.
Good morning.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Court to discuss and consider interpretive project scheduling staffing. Anything we need to be aware of?
Wait, no, text that.
And I DocuSigned last week, so that should be
Awesome.
All right, we're gonna discuss and consider a thermal imaging camera for the Texas Parks and Wildlife Game Room. Trent, where you going? Oh, you took your hat off. I didn't.
Would you like to stand at?
Trent's been here since April,
Yes,
and we are glad to have him up and speaking with him. And he's got some ideas, so.
Well, for any of y'all that haven't met me, my name is Trent Walker. I'm the new game warden here in Scurry County. So what I was going to bring today was a thermal imaging, which is going to be a monocular. And there are 3 things we want to use it for. One is used for cases, obviously. It helps with retrieval of evidence, like a recently poached deer or something like that. A lot of times they'll still be giving off heat, and we can go find. Without that, a lot of times it's hard to recover the evidence, which is obviously very pertinent to our case. The next is search and rescue. We have thermal drones, but they're up in Lubbock, and a lot of times you got the warden that has to drive to Lubbock, get everything prepared, make sure everything's working, drive all the way down here. So in cases where someone goes missing or something like that, I can always use the thermal imaging device to help the county, help the PD, look for anybody that may be missing. The next is officer safety. We had a game warden out in Andrews County who was actually following some road hunters. They turned off, he turned in behind them, got out with his night vision. Night vision you can see really good at night, but when it comes to the tree line, stuff like that, you can't see actually into the trees. The individuals had gone with their rifle into the trees. He couldn't see that. They actually came out and walked up behind him, and luckily he ended up knowing the people and everything was okay. But obviously that could be a dangerous situation. People in the woods, you can't see, they have rifles, and they had him dead to the right if they wanted to. So what a thermal imaging device like this would be able to do is you can see in the woods. He could have seen where those people were at, where they were standing. So his county bought him a thermal imaging device for that reason. You know, a lot of times around the county, you know, the sheriff's department can get us back up there, but heck, I might be at the far north side and they're at the far south side or something like that. And it may take a long time for them to get there. Night vision, I can see, you know, maybe you have 10 guys with a rifle that have been drinking in camp. You can't see everybody. The thermal imaging would let me be able to see who's all there, who's in the woods. That way when I walk into that camp, I know who's all there, no one's walking up behind me. So those are my big things, just to help my cases out, to help with search and rescue incidents as they come up, and then help with officer safety. So,
What kind of price range are we looking at here?
I'm looking at about $1,500.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I have a whole lot of respect in the world. You know, policing in the city is a whole lot different than policing by yourself out in the county.
Yes, sir.
And so backup is easy to get in the city.
It is.
It's not easy to get out where y'all are. And so, I have deep respect for what y'all do out there. Thank you
Appreciate it, sir.
for doing that. So, any questions of Trent?
I believe that it's a safety issue, and I think that all of us are very high on safety issues, and we want to keep you safe. And so I'd make a motion that we allow the officer to go ahead and purchase this infrared imaging device.
Yes, Ms. Summer.
If he goes to another county or whatever, the camera will stay with Scurry.
It stays in Scurry County, yes, we'd already discussed that. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, thank you, man, it's good to have you here in Scurry County, we appreciate it.
We're loving it here.
Good, good.
Thank you.
And, you can stay or you can go either way, if you want.
I got a pretty big honey-do list, so I'm gonna get out here and go take care of it.
All right,
Hey,
Thank
thank you,
you.
everybody.
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna change things up a little bit, we're gonna go down to. Court to discuss and consider request from the city of Snyder for monetary contribution and or letter of support for the extension of utilities to the proposed apartment complex off Highway 350. We've got the mayor, Tommy Walker,
Yes, sir.
and we've got Bill Robertson here, that they're gonna, kind of give us some information on these, giving you two letters. They are from Marble Falls and Louisa, and they have, worked with, the Texas Housing Foundation. They both have apartment complexes there, and, from the Texas Housing Foundation, and they have written letters of support for them. So, what can you tell us about it, Mayor?
Well, thanks for having me here today on such a short notice. And if y'all don't mind, I need to pull that down, because I have a hard time talking anyway. This project has been on the books and been moving forward for a long time, probably 7 to 8 years now. It was stalled, it was almost dead, but the owner of it, the one that was probably years, he didn't give up, he just kept pushing on. So we're to the point now that they have funding almost in hand. They have to go talk to them again. But it is one of the needs that Snyder needs. It's one being fulfilled. This is a part of our comprehensive plan that we have set in place, adopted and set in place back in 2017. And that was for affordable housing. And let me just, I don't mean to take a lot of time. I just want to brief you on some things. I've sat on 3 different meetings where the comprehensive plan came forth. And the first meeting I sat on, probably 25 years ago, I guess, whenever Doug Hutchins was here, the first DCOS director. One of the priorities then was housing. Well, the next one I sat on was with Steve, whoever he was. And the priority there again, voiced by the citizens, was housing, affordable housing. The same houses that in 70 were 40 years old are now that much more older. So there was a need there. So we sat on this third one. And before we even got started on the conversation, I raised my hand. I said, okay, here's my problem I have right now. This was before I was mayor. I said, I've sat on 2 of these already. This is my third one. And the other 2, the major problem was housing, affordable housing. So if affordable housing is the same problem this time, can we at least put a plan together to get this accomplished? I said, otherwise, I'm kind of wasting my time because I've got other things to do. So of course, 67% of the people out of water and affordable housing, 67% of the people said water is very important. Yeah, but we want affordable housing too. So affordable housing is there. So this project came up with Mr. Smurl, and again, he's been moving it forward. So we're to the point now that it came up on the city docket as to expand the infrastructure. And at the time that we did it, at the time that he applied for the application and did it, the infrastructure price was right at $400,000. We got a recent price because I wanted to know what we were faced with so that people don't think we're trying to hide anything. We got a estimate from the engineering company that we use here in Snyder, in the city of Snyder, and their estimate was like 630,000. So I'm kind of like this, it is what it is. As I was going through trying to get all the support information that I could get so I could bring before people, because some folks think that this is something we just kind of brought up, but it's not. We've been doing this a long time, and I want facts and figures. I mean, I like to present people with facts and figures. So in my research to get the letters of support that were written, the hospital wrote one, the school wrote one, WTC wrote one, the city wrote one, but I didn't discover one from the county. And this was a couple of years ago, and I really couldn't figure out why. I asked Merle, he really didn't know why. So my purpose of being here today is just to kind of tell you what's going on. That's kind of it in a nutshell. I'm gonna let Bill say something here in a minute. The other part is we need your support. Whether it's, if you can, help us with the infrastructure. If you can't, pray for us. Something. I mean, we need support because this is gonna help the whole city of Snyder, the whole county. It's a $19 million investment into the city. And again, if you'll read your comprehensive plan, that's priority one, is to invest in the city. So it's a great investment into the city. The two drawbacks, the infrastructure is one of them, which if you look at the plan again, that's where the city's growing to the south. So this is an investment where we lay the infrastructure for other things to come in. The next one is a $19 million investment. You know, I'm hearing people say, you know what? If you invest $19 million in that area in Snyder, other people are going to look and say, hey, what's going on in Snyder? We want to be there. And that's what we're doing, is we want to grow. Tony Wofford wants to grow. And that's been one of my push as mayor, and even before I became mayor, because I began to pray about it. And I said, Lord, you know, I want to see Snyder grow. Out of all the things, I go other places and I see stuff going on. When I first moved to Snyder, there was stuff going on everywhere. Just, you know, buildings and excitement. And I mean, it was a beautiful place. And it's still a beautiful place, but it's drying up. And I know that, and many of you know that. So we've got to get together and get behind growth. So here's my closing. We need your help. County, if you can. Didn't write a support letter. I wonder why. But we need your support. That's great. But if you can help us with some of the infrastructure, if it's in your charter to be able to do that, we would love that too. And hopefully we can get this project across the finish line, start building those beautiful apartments out there, and you plant a seed and it will grow. So that's my view. I love this city. Been here for almost 46 years now. I'm gonna tell you what, every time, Judge, I get up to the plate, I'm going for the fence.
Yeah.
Because we've got the potential of people here to make this a greater city than what it is. So any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
0% property taxes forever.
0% property
And
tax.
you just made a statement that the county's needing these things.
Right,
The county needs property tax.
okay.
So at what point is the city, the county, anyone gonna bring in entities that actually pay property taxes, which we are lacking?
We have a project on the table right now, Gail, the renovation of Beacon Lodge to be turned into a health facility. And so far, that project will be one that will bring that property tax that you're talking
Well,
about.
I just wanted to make it known that we're talking
Yes.
0% property taxes
Right.
on your $19 million. So
That's-
it's not benefiting property taxpayers.
And now let me tell you this part. Let me spin that for you a little bit. We're also talking 134 units, which on the books for the city is $90,000, $130,000 a year in meter service and utility service. Not to mention that the same property, now that's just the first phase of it. There's also another 60 units phase. And don't quote me on this. I think the 19 million is for the 134. They've got 60 more. Pass that down. That's just a drawing. They have 60 more that they're looking at. Plus, in the beginning, they talked about a new Allsups. There's been 3 places that Allsups wasn't building, Snyder. The one on El Paso, one up by 84. We haven't heard anything on that. We haven't heard anything on that. And the other one was out on this place here. Where this construction is going to go on. There's also a small place in there for retail shops. So that what you said is exactly right. But the taxes for the city that we will be forfeiting is $90,000 a year. But we're going to gain $130,000 on the meters plus a place for teachers, fire department, game wardens, school teachers, hospitals, and people that are looking for affordable, clean, safe, guarded, gated areas to live. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
You said that the estimate was 630,000 to put the infrastructure in,
That's the estimate. That's
Okay.
right.
and you just said that the meters would profit the city 130,000 a year.
Yes.
So that would take 4.84 years in order to recoup that. The county would never recoup that because county doesn't get meter money.
Okay.
As far as your affordable housing,
Yes.
I think that's been misrepresented. It's basically, they're gonna be funded, so let's just call it low-income housing.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes,
No, ma'am. The loan that they're going for with HUD is not a subsidized in any kind of way. So it's not low housing, it's not Section 8, no rent housing. The housing will start at $750 a month, average to $1,600 a month. And they're not subsidized. Now they are adjusted according to someone's income,
It's the
but
same
they're
thing.
not gonna be subsidized.
It's the same thing.
Is that the same way that, Villages is
Village of
done?
Snyder, yes, yes. And Village of Snyder, as far as I know, is 100% occupied right now. And all the housing is not the adequate, safe, affordable housing is all 100% occupied.
There's also a lot of rental people, agents in town that are worried about this, because it's gonna cut into their profit, as far as being able to rent their houses out. If they could get $1,600 a month for a rental house, then I think they should do that too.
I'm gonna let Bill Robinson answer that.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things here regarding that point exactly. I believe the court has in front of it the letters from Marble Falls and Lamesa, specifically saying that the Texas Housing Foundation's complexes, when they came in, had no negative impact at all on the rental communities. In fact, it enhanced the appearance of the city. And in Marble Falls case, they actually use their complex when they give interested businesses tours of their city. A couple different things, and the court, I don't know if you guys have this in front of you, but from the comprehensive report in 2017, let's see, on page 61, the SWOT analysis, the weakness, housing, lack of affordable housing, opportunities, housing, threats, housing, lack of affordable housing. Specifically, the Highway 350 area should remain as a growth priority for the city and Scurry County. To address the taxes issue, correct, absolutely correct regarding the county. But according to a National Association of Home Builders study model, that what happens is there's 3 phases. There's the construction phase, the move-in phase, and then what they simply call the ripple phase. And all that means, simply put, is you fill them up with people who weren't here previously, making money. They're spending money that wasn't here previously. We can't make any more money in town if we can't bring more people to town. And so it's a vicious circle.
I'm gonna go back to, you say this, the city, I understand that, and I don't live in the city, so I don't, that doesn't, I don't feel like I can say either way. But, I do live in the county, again, the 630,000 of estimate put it in, could be recouped by the city in less than 5 years for the meters, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's water and water, sewer and sewer. And so I don't believe that the taxpayers of the county should put infrastructure in that's going to be, and it's gonna cost the county to do that, the county taxpayers, that money could be recouped by the city. It won't ever be recouped by the county. Also, when Maverick West was done, we have no idea how much it would actually cost the county to put that stuff in, because it was stated that when Maverick West was done, they don't track hours and that kind of stuff for the county. So there was really no way to track how much Maverick West infrastructure costs the county. So unless that has changed, there will be no way for the taxpayers to know how much of their tax money was actually spent in order to get this infrastructure.
Can I tell you this, Ally? Can you put a pencil to how many new faces we will have a place for them to live in if this place is purchased? Because tomorrow, I will be before the new teachers here in Snyder and just encouraging them and talking to them about good things that are going on in Snyder. Just kind of motivating them to thanking them for being here in Snyder. And I was told that there are 50 welcome packages for the new teachers that have come to Snyder. So that's 50 new faces that have never been here before that are coming to teach. And if the school wrote a great letter of support for this, because now it gives them an opportunity to offer this facility as a place for recruitment. So if you take, say, 20% of that, 20 folks out of that, 20%, right? Yeah, say 20 folks out of that come. 10 folks out of that come. So that's 10 new faces that we didn't have before. Do the same with the college, do the same with the hospital. They love it because it's close to the hospital. They can get people in there. It's have a swimming pool.
I have absolutely no.
What I'm saying is that you bring, those are sales tax that you bring to Snyder. People shop, people eat. Give me 2 of those people to come to Miss Snyder, Miss Kathy's every week. I'm happy. So I'm looking at it too from a business standpoint. We bring more people into town, more people are gonna wanna come eat at Miss Kathy's. More people are gonna be looking for a church home. More people are gonna be looking to shop. So that's the ripple effect that I see. But if you don't bring them to town, I don't forget it.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying I don't believe we should spend county money
I
to do it.
understand.
Especially when the potential to recoup the money is to the city.
Craig had a
As
question.
far as the,
I'm sorry, I think he beat you, Gail.
Ain't she the lady? I let her go first.
as far as the 10, 50 people you bring in, and they go to the property, they live at the property that's paying no property taxes.
Right.
Why isn't this city and this county more interested in filling the vacant houses that people would pay their own property taxes on? Let's put these people in housing. If somebody can spend $1,600 a month on an apartment, they can very well afford a house that pays property taxes.
Gail, that's
You
part of
need to look at the income side of this. All we hear is expenses. This county and the city need to start thinking about income. And the income is mainly property taxes. So if you keep awarding 0% forever, in this case, or 0% for 10 years, where are you getting your income? Your main source of income, property taxes. So speak to the realtors. You're talking to 50 teachers. Sit down to the realtors and get them to purchase a house or rent a house. At least that property owner is paying property taxes on that rental.
everybody that comes to town doesn't want a house. Yeah.
They would I know people that would much rather live in an apartment, because they don't have to cut the grass, they don't have to worry
If I
about
was paying
repairs.
$1,600 a month for an apartment, I was dang sure looking to invest.
I have a
in
daughter
house.
that's living in an apartment right now, she's paying about $2,200 a
You
month.
could invest in a pretty good house in Snyder for $1,600.
She lives in Richardson, and the housing there is enormous. So I'm saying, there's a balance here. I hear what you're saying, but there's a
Send people
balance.
towards some of these vacant houses, and there are lots of vacant houses in Snyder, and there's probably quite a few in the county.
Craig, you had a question or a statement?
Yeah. First of all, I appreciate this fellow, and everything he does.
Thank you.
But I can't agree with you.
Okay.
I bought my first house when I was about 19 or 20. If we all got the ideal that we can go this way over here and not pay taxes, we'll soon to be a nothing. That's the reason your roads in town was nothing. Rough and ragged until you decided to go to raking the money up. Where you got it at, I don't know, but they're looking so much better at Fiscal right now. It just, but you don't build that on a wish and a spit. You build that on money. And to get money, you just well said. There's nobody walks up here. Well, I say that. Yeah, every once in a while there'll be somebody walk up here and just for to make a point. We've got a raise every year that I've been in here. I haven't took one. I give it back because I didn't come in here to get a raise. But to get people to come here, first of all, you got to have good jobs. You got more houses and you got good jobs. That's what we need to be after, is good jobs. And then again, if a fella don't pay his taxes, I can't go that route. I pay them. I bet you $1 you pay them.
Yeah, I do. So,
So I just don't think building something for, and not paying taxes on it you can color it any color you want to, but it's not green.
but let me jump in for a minute. So this is a 501c3.
Yes, it
They are
is.
tax exempt.
Yes, it is.
It's not that the city or the county would be giving any kind of abatements.
Right.
They're designed to be tax exempt.
Like a
So
church.
let's look for something that isn't.
Hang on, let me finish, Gail, please. You've had your opportunity. It's my turn now. So, so we've got an apartment complex that's coming in right up here, correct? Off 22nd Avenue T? Are they coming? Do we know?
22nd and Avenue.
I can't remember the name of
We're
them.
working on that one.
Working on
Yeah.
that one there.
Yeah.
We've got another guy who's looking at possibly bringing in apartments as well, maybe. We don't know exactly what he's
Varsity
gonna do.
Square?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's pulled it off the table right now.
Okay. But what we do know is we have this facility at the Beacon Lodge that's coming in. That is a for sure deal, correct?
It's, yes.
They are well
Yes.
into the process.
Yes.
How many employees are they looking to
I
bring
think
in
it's 6 to 10.
6 to
Well,
10.
no, let me
No,
back
yeah,
up on that.
'cause-
I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
That one's gonna be quite a few because you're gonna have nurses and
Yeah.
LVNs and,
Yeah,
some other stuff.
somewhere
So that
around
one,
40 or something,
yeah,
wasn't
it's
it?
gonna be quite a few.
Yeah, so that's new people that we're bringing in.
This one out here will be 6.
Yeah.
If we get this one out here.
Which one is that? I missed that
the
one.
Cottonwood Apartments.
Oh, Cottonwood Apartments. Okay, yeah. But I was thinking the Beacon Lodge where they're bringing in the nurses.
Yeah, that was, yeah, that's.
We're getting new teachers.
Yep.
What is the capacity, the rental capacity right now in the current apartments and houses that are rented out? Do you know?
Bill? did you
How
know?
many are actually rented out of the apartments and?
According to every survey that I've read and the feasibility studies, most recently the one in 2019 that was presented in 2020, at 90% capacity.
90% capacity, that's apartments and rental houses.
That's everything available for.
Okay, all right. And I'm playing devil's
I
advocate
understand.
here,
I
okay?
understand.
I'm not 100% which way I
Mhm.
want to jump on a 501c3, as far as tax dollars go.
You say there's more than this one that we're talking about here
There's
gonna come in.
potentially, it's not a for sure deal. One has been
So,
pulled off the table apparently,
We
but
could be flooded with this deal.
not
Well,
necessarily.
let me show you one, Craig, market feasibility study that was done and presented in 2019, December 2019, said that it is reasonable to assume with all the stuff that they investigated, that you need at least 600 units to be built to absorb in the market over the next 5 years.
Well,
So
hold on just a
the
second.
possibility is here.
Hold on just a second. I remember sitting out here, I believe, whenever we just had to have a housing district here. But we didn't have nothing. There wasn't no places for nobody to live, no nothing. And we can't even give the dead burner, excuse me, I'm getting a little rough now. We can't even give the plots away right now. And haven't been for nothing. They brought them down. Can't give them away. Now then, you get out here and you just build and you don't get no taxes coming in. We're just gonna have more plots.
Well,
Well, you can't build a city on something that's a guess. And we're guessing a lot here. We've guessed here a lot. We guessed here so much, we put this place right here in jeopardy. And by the grace of God, and people like her, and even you, these men right here, the one that's gone, by God, he's got some green in a place. And it wasn't because it was give to us. It was because we done without here, done without there, paid it right, undone this, done it right over here. I wish I could say I did it all, and I didn't do none of it. But yet, that's the way you get to where you want to go. I mean, paying taxes is an American way. And my daddy could sit down there at Ezel Key, spit tobacco and cuss about taxes, and he's a Baptist preacher. Because he didn't like them. Well, I don't especially like them either, but I know they ain't very well gotta have them.
Well, that's good points. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me round.
Absolutely.
I have a question for Tony.
Hang
Yes,
on.
ma'am.
Go ahead.
On these other apartments and structures you're talking about, just citywide, I'm not talking about if the county does their abatement or whatever. Are you gonna negotiate with these new places for 0% property taxes for 10 years? Start at the top. The city and
Okay,
the
let's,
county always-
that's a city council question. Let's move into some other.
I'll talk to
He
you.
is standing
I'll
right
talk
here,
to you
but
about it.
that's
No, we won't.
getting
This
into
is-
Okay. I'm
city
gonna
council
put you on
stuff.
that.
Yeah, okay, and
So-
this is the only
So-
nonprofit building organization that's approached us like this.
But you're talking about other new places.
Other places, there is a commercial tax abatement on the books right now within the city. That's for anybody that wants to build commercially, and there's a residential tax abatement on the books for anybody that wants to build something new.
Always seem to start at 0% for 10 years. Why not start?
No,
Okay,
no, 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 no.
let's move
Yeah.
back to this discussion instead of getting further into the city side of it, because this is not a city council meeting. All right, so where I was headed with all of that,
Okay,
I have never been one to say that, as a matter of fact, I was for the housing out at Maverick West. I was against the county paying for it. Okay, I felt like a developer, not a home builders, but a developer who comes in and builds infrastructure should have come in and done that. So with this, I have no problem with apartments coming in. I want more housing because we're at 90% capacity, right, Bill? On the rental housing and the apartments. We need more rental properties. We have places where people can buy. I have opinions about that, but that's a different story. So not everybody who comes in, especially some of these brand new people who are just starting out as police officers. Trent's a great example of that. He's new in police officer. He's is with that department. But new teachers, new paramedics and EMTs and all that they might not have that nest egg, that deposit that they need to put down on buying a house. And they wouldn't necessarily be able to, either way, I mean, rent's kind of high wherever you go, but they gives them an opportunity to decide if they're gonna stay in a location. They may come here for a year, have bought a house, and they're stuck with that house if they decide to move out. So I feel like we need more housing. I like free market. I like that, as far as I'm concerned with this one. Personally, I'm from a county, my position is as a county standpoint, I'm not speaking for the county, I'm speaking my thoughts on what a county should or should not do. And I expressed that I don't think counties should be involved in development. I'm more than willing to do a letter of support. I don't know, especially since we've been in that situation before, putting money towards this same project at one time, this commissioner's court said that they would finance part of it. I disagreed with that at the time too, because like I said, I don't feel like that government should be into putting funds towards development. I think the developer should do that. I agree with abatements in some instances, in a lot of instances. I agree with pilot programs. I'm not opposed to them making an effort because I believe that other things could come in there. You've got to start somewhere. It's circular. You've got housing, you've got jobs, you've got all of these issues, and you've got to find that starting point to get that circle completed. And if you don't start with something, housing is an opportunity right here. You don't get any of it. That's my thoughts on that. Are there any thoughts from anybody else?
Yeah, since 2000, whenever I was on the hospital board, we had a very difficult situation of getting nurses and doctors and anesthesiologists and so on, surgeons. And the very reason was because they could not find housing. Went on for 5 years, never was able to do that. Even when we tried to develop Maverick West, and one of the reasons that the court decided to put in the infrastructure was the very reason was realtors told us time and time and time and time again that these people that develop those like Maverick West usually have infrastructure in place before they will do it. They would try to come here and try to come here. Well, I don't know how many realtors have told me that. These guys are used to having infrastructure in place. They will buy the lots and they will build the homes. And every lot out there in Maverick West was sold with one exception. They had to have permits by December 31 of 2016, and they didn't get them after a year. That doesn't matter. That's water under the bridge. We still need affordable housing. And we have people that are living outside of our county and commuting to our hospitals, to our EMS, to our schools. And that's ridiculous. They go home and buy their groceries in those towns. They go home and buy their gas in those towns. They go home and they buy whatever they need there. But if they were here, they don't want to travel here. They just don't have affordable housing. And so absolutely I'm for and be glad to sign my name on this, on the dotted line for helping the city with a letter of approval. But on the pay-in side, we don't even have our emergency fund to where it needs to be.
I understand.
If we did, I would say, yes, I don't mind helping where we can. But in this time, we're unable to do that. And so, but a letter of support, absolutely.
And we would be very appreciative of that. Can I add just one little thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
This money for the infrastructure comes out of the TIF fund.
Uh-huh.
Now, the city, to my understanding, is the only entity that pays into the TIF fund. A certain percentage of the sales tax goes into that TIF fund. County doesn't pay in there, hospital, school, nobody else except the city. So it's a totally city process. I don't know if this is proper or not, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Shoot me down, check it out. Is it possible that sometime in the near future, the county could be involved in putting money into that TIF fund for projects that come forth? You still gotta go through the process. It gotta be, if you do that,
Yeah.
you still gotta be approved here, still has to be approved at the city. So I'm just asking that. I wasn't told to ask
No,
that, I'm just
absolutely.
asking it.
That's something we
Because
can definitely look into.
That would help us. It would be just a little amount every year or every month, however, Patricia, however it's done according to our
Yeah.
bylaws. But then at least we have money there, so when projects come up, the county has agreed upon it,
Mhm.
the city's agreed upon it, all the taxing entity says yes, and then we get down to the infrastructure. Well, how are we gonna put it in? We've got the TIF fund sitting here. We got plenty of money in there. Go in and put in the adequate facilities so that this company can come on.
Yeah, that's something we
So
can
I just-
definitely
okay,
look
I'm
at
just
for
asking.
sure. And I just want to say that I love working with you guys. You guys are so tireless in everything that you do for our community, and you work hard at getting us moving forward.
Yeah.
And we've had these discussions that we want growth here, and we need growth here because we talked about diversity. We need
Yep.
that diversity here so that we don't end up in the situation where we're in now, where the oil is down and we've got those issues. So, thank you both.
Thank you for
really
having us.
appreciate it.
Craig, I hear you.
Thanks, sir.
That's why I give my check back to the city so they can. But you know what?
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. But you know what? I want to close with this. Gail, I love you too. You know that. And I understand my job is to present it and present it in a positive attitude. One thing, we need to work together as a county, city, county, all the tax
Yeah.
is attitude.
Yeah.
I mean, we can agree to disagree.
We get
And
to
I still-
heaven, we're not gonna be broke.
Well, that's fine.
We're broke now.
We won't need it when we get to heaven either. Craig. Okay, remember that. I mean, we gotta spend it down here. But I just wanna let you know, I appreciate you hearing us today. Writing a letter of support, that's a victory for me.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna make the motion that we write a letter of support. All in favor?
Okay,
Thank you,
God bless you. Thanks for hearing us.
thank you.
Thank you, guys. Y'all can stay or head out, however you prefer. So,
Okay.
thank you both very much. Like I said, I don't want to get in the way of progress, but. All right, let's talk about the burn ban. Let's go ahead and do that, Nathan.
Yep.
I guess it's gotten a little hairy.
Well, we've been on a fire for 3 days in a row in the last, started by lightning, but we haven't had any problems with the control burns, but it's too dangerous. It's time to put it back in. That little bit of rain we got's gone, dried out. We had 1 inch grass yesterday running away from us, so mine and Perry's are asking for you to put it back in. I'm not for sure how long, depends on if the hurricanes come. We get some rain from some of those tropical storms that are in the Atlantic right now, but for at least the foreseeable future, we need it back in, if all possible. Starting today.
Motion that we turn them back on until such time as we get enough rain that the fire department sees that we're safe to do some burning.
All right. All in favor? Okay.
Does that go into effect today?
Did we put it on?
Yeah, it'll go into effect today.
We'll have people asking.
Make sure that the date.
They can,
18.
Yep.
It will be today.
yes.
Thank you, Nathan.
There's an extra one if we need it.
There's another one.
I'll pass them on.
All right. Go ahead and do donations. Let's get that done and out of the way. We didn't get this. We had donations for the senior center. Now, $2,204.88.
Yeah, Jim, I could not, we had shipped the donations for the senior citizen center.
All in favor? Okay.
Pass those around.
Well, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's conduct a public hearing on the fiscal year 21 proposed budget. We'll start that 10:47. Do we need to have a time for that?
You want this next guy, you want to?
Yes, sir. And we'll answer both of those because there's two of them.
One for them.
Any discussion on the budget?
I have a lot of questions on the budget.
Okay.
Starting with non-departmental utilities. Proposed budget, 300,000. 2020 was 50,000.
Yes, we've taken all the utilities and put them into non-departmental. We've taken them from each department and moved it all to one location. It's all gonna be paid from one location.
Therefore, you're saying each department's cutting their expenses, but basically they're not, they're just shifting.
That's not what we're saying on that.
Yes, okay. Utilities, that's outrageous. The golf course loses money pretty much every year. Their income for 2021 was noted as 94,000. And their expenses is 354,000. So that's a loss of 260,000 unless the taxpayers put in, the ad valorem taxes go there. We don't have a choice on that. But the golf course loses 260,000 in 2021. The only thing I've seen is out of place is they're wanting to buy $6,000 worth of merchandise at our expense so they can resell it. That's kind of monotonous. Permanently Waterworks is a whole another subject because you finally admitted that it's up for sale after people had been known for months that it was being proposed.
It had never been proposed. We were approached by a company to discuss that, so that's why it's on there.
The airport. Communications in 2020 was $18,000. The proposed 2021 is $2,500. We stuck the utilities, I guess, into the non-departmental. The income for the airport, 35,000 state grant, 2,500 interest. Airport revenue, 75,000. The expenses are 523,000. That's a loss of 411,000. So the airport again, once again, loses money every year. The EMS, they've got part-time help, 105,000, and right under that, social security, 105,000. I don't think that's correct. There's no way those two numbers could be the same. Fuel and oil, I guess, has been switched because of the fuel station. Let's see, travel was 10,000 for this year, up to 25,000. Utilities was 10,000, down to 5,000. The EMS income and the expenses amount to $826,716 of loss. Again, EMS every year. Yet taxpayers have to fund them with their ad valorem taxes for them to break even, supposedly break even. So nobody's cutting any budgets. No, I mean, I've got the printout right here. And I'm gonna make it clear on this.
Look at precinct one.
There he is.
Was cut.
We'll get to that. I've got them.
Good.
Good.
Thank you.
County clerk is saving 171,000. Non-departmental says it's saving 470,000, but they forgot to put in 500,000 for the
That was on-
emergency fund.
That was on the proposed budget that had to be on the website by July 30th. Once they
I'm going by these,
once
I'm going by
they
what's online.
set the order for the proposed tax rate, then the 500,000 went to the emergency reserve line.
And let's see, treasurer's cutting 10,000, that's good. Building maintenance, almost 29,000. It really bothers me that you're saying you're cutting, everybody's cutting. I think the newspaper quote was that all of them are making their budgets tight. When you're just switching expenses from one place to the other, that's not budget cutting. Not everybody sees that unless you have this in front of you. You run the numbers. County welfare is saving 30,000. And I say that not knowing, because I haven't figured out if they've put some of their expenses somewhere else. So this court doesn't need to sit here and say, we're saving you money. You're saving us money by not charging us $1 million to put in the reserve fund. You're just gonna charge us 500,000. Thank you very much. You saved me 500,000 by not charging me $1 million. These budget cuts that you're bragging about and patting yourself on the back, they're not budget cuts in no way, shape, or form.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, ma'am?
I do have a couple specific questions about differences in the budget.
Okay.
The one that I do have that was mentioned, is the fuel and oil.
Uh-huh.
And I do understand that, like you said, utilities, they went from departmental to non-departmental.
Correct.
And so, not including precincts budget for fuel and oil.
Right.
My calculation, and if I'm wrong, that'd be great, that fuel and oil went up $8,250 for 2021. Where it's supposed to, my understanding was we bought the fuel station in order for it to go down. So can you explain why that budget for fuel and oil has gone up $8,250? From from individuals who, because there's many departments took their fuel and oil budget from what it was last year to zero. But many did not, or several did not.
Yeah, the precincts didn't because, and,
Not including,
parks.
this is not including
Okay,
precincts, right?
there's a couple of places they have fuel on site,
Absolutely.
So
This is,
we
the
leave those there.
precincts are not included in this number whatsoever.
right? And then,
Road and bridge precinct.
okay, so airport has their own fuel out there as well, the parks has fuel. There may be, I don't think there's anybody else that has fuel on their location. Price of fuel it goes up, it goes down. I mean, it's not a control. So that's, I'm not sure exactly why it was $8,000 difference. It could be that we're using more fuel, but that's something I'll have to look into.
You said the road and bridge is not in there?
Right.
No, sir.
Yeah, you still have
No.
fuel in your
Well,
In your
yeah.
precinct. He's talking about where we moved all of them from each department over to non-departmental.
I know sometimes I've got an extra truck now
Yeah.
that I'm using all the time.
Sure.
So my fuel could be.
Yeah, fuel went up.
And that wasn't included at all, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to say something to Terry. He was talking about his budget, he didn't increase or anything. He saved $109.
I didn't say it didn't increase.
That was
or that I
that's
saved
how
a
much
buck.
your
I said,
budget-
look at it.
Your 20.
Okay, we're not gonna sit here and argue back and
21,
forth about that.
777.
Ms. Mize, did you have another
Well,
question?
he just wanted,
Okay,
that
and you
he-
pointed that out. Yes, ma'am,
He did.
thank you. Ms. Mize, did you have another question?
I did. One of the reasons that last year and this is non-departmental, the all department software maintenance was $287,000.
Uh-huh.
And that was because we had to have a new software system.
Correct, and we still have the
Okay.
old one.
The year before that, it was 85,000 budgeted. And the year before that, actual was 92,000.
Okay.
But we had to have this new system because it was going to decrease what we were spending each year for our all department software maintenance. So for 2021, why is it $200,000 budgeted? If it's saved, that new system saved us.
The budget, it's a 5-year payout. After the 5 years is over, our budget will go down. It was discussed in court when y'all approved it.
Right.
This year, we had to pay Tyler and the new systems, both of the new systems.
Mhm.
2021 only is the new systems, but
Right.
it's a 5-year payout for the full total installment and all of the computers and hardware and everything.
And, I had a thought there. There was something else that, was an aspect of that. The cost to replace the, servers was gonna be
Yes.
close to 300,000 if we stayed with Tyler. So, does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
I mean, okay. The other thing that I wanted to ask about was copier supplies. How did we go from 2018 spending $2,900? 2020, our budget was $2,000. 2019 it was 2,000. 2020 it was 3,000 to $60,000.
And so what we have done, just like the fuel and just like the utilities, we've consolidated all of them to one location. We had copiers and we had, in lots of departments. And instead of each department having their own copier bill, and so that's why you'll see, it was communication, was that under communications or which one was it under?
Copier was under, maintenance agreements.
Okay, it was under maintenance agreements under each of the departments. It's all moved from those maintenance agreements under each department to one central. We get a bill for one, it all goes to the auditor's office instead of each department.
It's
So
the same
it's
thing.
paid one bill
Same thing
instead
with
of,
the phone and internet.
same thing with phone and internet. Yeah, so fuel, we're trying to consolidate so there's less confusion, less,
Yeah,
bills
and
being
I-
paid, less.
I understand that, but you can understand how looking from 20 to 21
Yeah.
without asking for an
Yeah,
explanation
absolutely.
is absolutely confusion. for
Okay.
me, so.
Yeah, and that's what it is. We just consolidated it just like some of the others. And we're looking at other areas we can do that too. So.
But consolidation doesn't equal saving anybody.
We're not trying to say that that's where the cuts were made. Never did say that.
Well, I mean, you're saying you're taking them from one place and putting them in another. That
Yes,
is
and
not
that's not what
adding
we're saying was the cuts.
up. Well, you said that the budget, all the departments.
I did not say
budgets
all of
and
the
the
departments. I said there was $2.1 million less that will be taxed. 600,000, roughly 600,000, that's not gonna be taxed for road materials. About 500,000 to 600,000 in purchases that we made last year that we're not making this year, and the $1 million that we were putting into reserves. And so when we set the tax rate where we did, we are still able to go $2.1 million less and still put $500,000 into an emergency reserve fund.
In the newspaper, the county auditor was quoted saying they have made their budgets tight
And they have.
by taking stuff out of
No,
their
ma'am, that
budget
is not
and
what
moving it.
they
That's
cut their
not-
budget.
That is not cutting the budget.
That's not,
Yes.
okay, you misinterpreted that.
No.
Just what I say that actually in consolidation of a lot of these statements, that whenever we used to look at every invoice, we found that there would be savings if you got that bill paid in a certain amount of time.
Yes.
And also, you didn't get charged late charges now because it's paid on time.
Correct.
And so there is a lot of good sense, business sense, in consolidating these. I don't mind the questions. That's great. I'm glad you're interested.
Which I have another one.
Sure.
Okay, so about the utilities,
Mhm.
Again, consolidated, has that actually, the consolidation already happened?
Yes.
Okay, because I've noticed on the financials, the utilities itself, as of June, it's, 77,000, I believe, I'm not sure, but that is way, way, way above what the budget percentage, was for last year, even though it was, I think, only 40,000 or something like that. For
Water and
50,000.
gas is still paid out of each department. The electricity is what is paid out of non-departmental.
Okay,
And we started that consolidation during this year.
Yeah.
It wasn't started in January, it was after, I don't know what time. When was it that you,
Oh, when did we do that?
I think in February?
March or April?
Yeah, it was like March or so, when we consolidated the electricity, because we went to TXU when we got the one billing
It might
all
have been.
together.
Yeah, that might have been about February,
Yeah.
February, March.
okay.
Okay.
I thought that's what I was seeing by a higher number. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and those monies will be pulled from the different departments to
So
cover
those will all
that
be-
expense.
Okay, so will those be budget amendments then, or have they been budget amendments?
It
Or
will be a line item transfer
Okay.
closer to, like, once everything's straightened out and I know exactly how much to transfer from the other departments to 409.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. At 11:00.
Something on there about ball fields, fences at the ball fields.
We are not to that point yet.
What
That
you-
was the budget, the public hearing on the proposed budget. All right, court to discuss and take possible action to ratify the proposed tax revenue increase in the 2021 Scurry County budget. Now, when we say revenue increase, the tax rate is not going up. We are keeping it at the same. As a matter of fact, the no new revenue rate is 51 cents. 51.26. So we are well below the no new revenue rate and even further below the voter approval rate of 0.5395. Of course, the no new revenue rate is what used to be known as the, oh, good golly, that word just went
Effective.
right out of my head,
Effective.
effective. And then the voter approval rate is the rollout rate. So, there are specific wording that we have to use I don't know if you'll have those, and I don't mind making that motion. Is there any discussion on this? Okay. I make a motion that Scurry County ratify the property tax revenue decrease as shown in the proposed budget.
Terry?
Wait a minute.
It is a revenue decrease because we're bringing in less revenue than we did last year.
Got it. Okay. It's just wrong in the agenda.
Yes.
It is a decrease in revenue, $2.1 million less. Oh. All right, we had a second, all in favor? Okay. And then I make a motion to adopt the 2021 Scurry County budget as presented. Oh, wait, I guess we need to discuss and take possible vote. Do we need any discussion on this? Do we need to make any changes?
I would say you make the proposed budget that she's changed available online.
It'll be available after.
That'll be after the record vote. It has to be after the record vote. We can't put it on there before we vote on
It will
the
be
adopted.
adopted budget after court.
Official, or are we talking?
It will be the official adopted 2021 budget once it's approved from court on the
Okay.
website.
Okay, so I made the motion. You second.
Mhm.
Correct? Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Court to discuss and take possible action to approve order adopting the tax rate for the tax year 2020 fiscal year 2021 and levy taxes and take record vote.
I make a motion to approve the order adopting the debt INS tax rate at 0.0329.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. And then we have that other one as well. So I'll make a motion to approve the order adopting the maintenance and operations M&O tax rate at 0.4169, equaling a total rate of 4498 for fiscal year 2021, tax year 2020, and levy the taxes. All in favor? All right.
And might I say, Judge, that with the no new revenue rate and with the no new voter approval rate, that a hearing was not even, we were not mandatory to have a hearing. I'm glad we did. I'm glad those showed up to ask questions, but that is the statute.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Court to discuss and consider replacing ball field fences. Okay, so the fence was taken down at, the ball field at North Park. And, we've had some discussion as to whether we want to replace that or not. Terry and I have kind of talked about that. You've gotten some quotes on what it would cost to do that. There's also, the fencing up at Toll Park at each of those ball fields. Have you looked at those recently?
The one especially that the people have been talking to me about is the one that's closest to the armory, that has large holes in it. Now, I've heard from some people that they've even asked or requested that Larry allow them to put the fence up because they weren't working and they would get that done, that wasn't allowed, probably liability or something, I don't know. I know we used to build out there all the time. I'll say that Larry has always been very good at supervising and trying to do what's best for the community. The problem today that I see is that you've got a small field where the fence was taken down during the season that probably shouldn't have been taken down. It should have been planned during the off season and taken down and put back up before the season started. The problem being, number one, on the small field, is that it's about a 4-foot drop. If you're running after a ground ball, especially an adult that's out there and trips and falls and breaks a leg or something, or an arm or a neck, whatever, running off of that 4-foot drop, that's one thing. The other thing is that if 2 or 3 kids want to go out and play on those fields, they're constantly chasing balls rather than being able to play ball because there's no fence to stop it. Besides running off of the 3-foot drop there that at the end of that field, the level field. The larger field, the fence has been down for 8 years.
Probably more
10
like
years.
15.
And our church, and I know other churches have it as well, used to go out and play on those fields all the time. It has got to where unless you've got extra adults, extra kids, that you can't play because you're constantly going to get the ball. Now, there's not one other facility owned by the county that is not fenced. They're all fenced. And these should be fenced for those kids that live in those areas that they may not be able to afford a game and sit at home. And I don't even want them to. I want them to be able to get outside, go and play baseball, run around in the park, and something else that I don't have anything to involve with. Those fields need to be maintained. They need to be grass bird free, goat head free, and maintained for these kids to get out there and play. It is no fun. I've done it whenever I was a kid, getting out there and hitting a ball, and then your play is interrupted for 5 minutes because you got to go get the balls and bring them back. And so I believe it's time that we put those fences back up so that churches, other organizations, kids can go out and play. Now, it's been talked about maybe the big field ought to be a soccer field. And we've got soccer fields over at the youth club. We've got soccer fields before out here at college. We don't need soccer fields. We need three kids can't go out. 5 kids can't go out and play soccer. They can play baseball or different games that they play with baseball if the fields are maintained and they don't have to chase balls all the time. And so that's why I asked Judge that we put those fences back up and repair the fences that are down or that are in disrepair.
Do you remember what the cost was?
It's $21 a foot, linear foot, for a heavy gauge 6-foot fence. So it's just depending on the perimeter of the fence of what that would cost. Wanted to get with Larry and get him to work with. He's worked with Benny on the fence before. They're the cheap. Whatever y'all want to do, it doesn't matter to me. I just think that during the season, those fences ought to be up. And we're during the season. I saw families out there playing on them last night. And several families have called and talked to me and said, man, what's the deal? You know, we can't have a good time because we're constantly chasing these balls. And so I think it's not something that's that expensive to do. And it's the gates now for the field, for each field would be like $19.50. That's 2 4-foot gates, one at each end of the backstop, and then a 10-foot fence for Larry to be able to get his equipment in. I think would be more than adequate, wouldn't it, Larry?
Oh, yes.
And let's maintain what we have instead of constantly. I mean, that park is as important as any park to those people. And it takes pressure off of Toll Park. Now, Toll Park hadn't had as much pressure because of COVID-19. But whenever we were having everything out at Toll Park, even Larry himself stated, you know, we need to keep this park over here on 13th Street up and useful to the people because it takes the pressure off of that park. Winston Park's in great shape, has a great fence, has a 10-foot fence. And whenever these kids have tournaments, they need those fields to be able to play on. That brings more people, and we're talking about getting people here. The more fields that you have that are usable, the more people that are going to come and stay in our motels and buy our gas, need our food, and are going to come and play on these facilities. And so that's my rant today.
Okay, thank you. Like, Go ahead.
No, I forgot now, you got on to me and I was ready to talk now. The gates is all it needs, or it needs a whole?
No, and Terry and I, every once in a while, are at opposite ends of the spectrum. North Park, the fence we took down was built probably 55 years ago. We did not know that anyone was using those fields. So we took that fence down, got rid of it, because it was falling apart. The next part of that is I would love to do some more things. We put in the playground, we put in restrooms through the years, but in the last 6 years, because of budgets, we've been told you maintain what you have and don't ask for anything new. So that's why we were headed that direction to improve North Park and Winston Park, but that has been derailed. I understand that. The thing about North Park is we have no water over there. We can't water those ball fields.
Okay, I'm glad you hit me in the head. I thought we drilled a water well.
There's a water well over there that's capped right now. I don't know if it's drilled for irrigation or just
Do you
drilled for
want them to
drinking.
carry it over in a bucket?
It just don't have a pump in it. That's all I
You
know.
don't got no pump.
That's right.
Well, and we don't have any money to put in an irrigation system.
Well, that ends the subject right now. We gotta come up with the money, I
Money,
guess,
so-
we're gonna do it.
So there's several different ways we can do it, but it's a moot point when y'all ask me to do a budget and I'm looking at this horrendous number of what it's gonna take and I can get that done, there's no reason for me to even ask for it. So I did. We have no electricity over there on those ball fields either.
This year is different. This year, we didn't open the pool. Most counties did, as I drive by their pools and see them. There's $53,000 in pool payroll.
Yeah, but
That is there this year, that is not being used and won't be used.
And I think when we decided to close that, this court told these people out here that we would put that money back into reserves and we wouldn't spend it on anything else.
Wow.
Am I the only one that remembers that?
I don't either.
I do remember that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, because the question came from actually Ms. Summers, what are we gonna do with that? We said it would go into
I
reserves.
think you're right.
Um,
Well, now, I know I'm gonna get jumped on with 3 feet. But do we gotta do it all at one time?
All I've asked was to put fences up. That's all I asked.
Just one, if you put fences up, that's not gonna kill the grass birds.
No, and Larry's supposed to have been spraying those grass birds for the last 10 years, so I'm assuming that those
Yeah,
fields
how
are
old
pretty
is those?
free.
They are. They're
All
pretty free.
this discussion is about is putting fences up.
That's all we want.
That's all.
Fences.
I mean, I'd like to see the fields watered and some believe maybe it needs to be underground irrigation, but hey, they used to be watered with movable pipe irrigation.
what's it cost to get pumps?
Way before,
In the ponds? Do you know
The
what-
pods, when I did that work, looking at that budget, we could get a pump in there, and I put these numbers together several months ago. We could put a pump in there, we could get a pod system or a rolling wheel system. But to do that, we're gonna have to have a building over there or a lock place to lock that equipment up. We're also would have to have a piece of equipment to drag that stuff around. No big problem, except it runs into money. And I estimated to get a water wheel system and everything we'd need, plus a secure place to put it, was $48,000. No reason in my mind to put that in a budget, because there just wasn't that kind of money. Now, those ball fields, we had those up, when we did have water on them and we had electricity on it, the leagues said, we don't want to play over there anymore. We want y'all to build us a Pixie League field at Toll Park. So we did that. They didn't want to be over there. They wanted everything in one spot. So we considered those fields over at North Park to be practice fields. There's only 2 practice fields we own. Anybody can come and use them. It doesn't cost anything. All of our other 7 fields are play fields. You can't, only people that can practice on those is high school. Girls' little softball league and stuff, they can come play their games, but they have to find somebody where else to practice. So that, Terry, is how I felt about those fields over there, that they were strictly a practice field. Churches used to use those fields, but no more.
Oh, yeah, we still use them. Played 3 or 4 times this year.
Those, can I say something?
Mhm.
Those fields right now get used more than the fields at Toll Park.
Right, because the leagues aren't playing.
Our travel baseball teams practice on there. There's a grown men's league that plays games on there on the weekends. And they're highly getting used.
I don't wonder why aren't they using Winston?
You can't.
Those fields were opened up by this court months
We
ago.
were told we can't use those fields.
Who told you that?
Parks Department.
Melissa, evidently. No, those fields can be used.
The fact remains that there are no kids, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids can't go out there and just play a game of baseball together, just hitting the balls, practicing their ground catching, the pop flies and things like that without chasing balls all the time. It just doesn't make sense to have a ball field and not have a fence. Practice or not.
Playing devil's advocate here. All right. So all the other practice fields in town, practice fields, not the league fields, and having coached throughout the years, I didn't find a practice field that did have a fence. There are 3 or 4. They don't have an outside fence. If you wanted a fence, you put up the orange fencing yourself. But any field that I didn't ever go that far, but any practice field that I've used didn't have a fence on it. That's just play devil's advocate there.
Those
So,
fields are not owned by the county,
No,
either.
they're
They
not.
owned by the people practicing on them, more than likely.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to putting up a fence. I need leadership from y'all and them to tell me where that money's gonna come from.
And along with the fence, goes with the fence is the backstop. That backstop on that small field doesn't even have wire on it. That doesn't make sense.
North Park.
That's North Park. Because as far as we're concerned, so this year, y'all started playing on them. Last year, the year before, and the year before that, I don't know that anybody played on them.
I know
Well,
that the church has always played on it.
We've all, like she said, grown man baseball, we've also played on it several times. If you go up there now, there's a man-made pitcher's mound up there that's made full of sand. And we just pat it down numerous times. For us to have something there.
Yeah.
And
It goes back, why not use Winston Field?
that just goes back to, we were told we couldn't.
Yeah, well, that was wrong information.
What would be the preference, Winston or that one?
Yeah, do you want us to fix North Park up?
Oh, Winston's fine. North Park is, it would be lovely because, we can do as well as tournaments there as well. We have a tournament going on this weekend.
Yeah.
Just to say, if we had, say, 20 teams come in, just ballpark figure,
And,
we can go there and we can go here.
Yeah.
When we go to different towns,
and North Park
they use
would
different.
have no lights.
Correct. No, I understand. And this is just all, future
Yeah.
reference or whatever. If we get bigger tournaments, we can also use that park and North Park and Winston Park. Use all 3 parks. We've been to several tournaments where they use different facilities, different parks that were, so everybody can have their own time. If we all had it at Toll Park, we'd be there all weekend from Friday all the way to Sunday night to 12 o'clock at midnight.
Were way you can get more teams too, if you have more fields.
And the high
And
school,
more people.
Yeah.
the
More
high
people,
school,
gas, food, everything
Yeah.
else.
the high school hosted a softball tournament a few years ago where we had close to 15 to 20 teams, where we had to utilize Hermele's softball field.
Yeah.
We had to drive out there for games because all we had was the two softball fields here and Winston.
Right.
And so if you had those fields at North Park,
Are we talking about any more equipment that we'd have to have? We done anything to it or?
If we put water in there, either we're gonna have to put underground irrigation or some kind of pod system that we would have to move around. Now, in the old days, they had aluminum pipe over there, different times now. Anything I put over there, I'm gonna have to have it locked up.
Yeah.
But it's there.
So, but I guess
How
it just,
about your employee situation, you got enough to do it?
Oh,
Or
yeah,
you
yeah.
have to have more?
oh, no, we'd have enough to do it.
So,
Fence that they took down over a 4 foot or a 6 foot?
That's 4 foot.
So I'm not opposed to fencing. I want that understood, but I would say if we do that, we also look at doing the fencing.
I agree completely.
Because
Absolutely.
that is, it's embarrassing, honestly.
Yeah,
You know,
Yep.
and it's been that way for as long as I can remember.
And something until we're able to afford maybe irrigation like you're talking about, doesn't these, water cannons, I mean, I think that one in the middle would almost water the small field in its entirety.
I don't guess I understand what a water cannon is.
Well, it stands about that high off of the ground and it's got a big sprinkler on top.
That thing's 200 yards across.
The little field?
Oh, no, I thought you was talking about the big.
Oh, no, you'd have to have two
Yeah.
or three of those.
Where's the well?
Or move them.
Where's the well over there?
The well is down by the volleyball court.
Okay, so it's not too.
And hey, I've got a backhoe.
Yes, sir.
My question is, where would you propose getting the money to do this one?
I think the $53,000 that's in that, if it goes back in the reserves, needs to come back out and go to something like that.
So,
It's not extra money out of reserves. It's
Right.
money that
It's money
wasn't
that was-
spent that the Parks Department had in their budget.
Yep.
Has in their budget.
so you would go back on what you said during the original one, that it wouldn't be used?
They're not spending it, as Ms. Summers says, frivolously.
I-
They're
no, no, no.
spending it
I didn't
to,
say frivolous, I just am asking. for-
no, that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. She doesn't want the money spent in a way that shouldn't be. This is actually utilizing it for the Parks Department in a way that people can actually use North Park.
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's going back on. I would say that without knowing at the time, yeah, automatically it's gonna go to reserves. But we see some areas that we could make some improvements with with money. Instead of putting it at reserves, we put it into that location. So it's not, I don't think it's going back on what we said. That was an automatic, that's what's gonna happen with it at the time. Because that's what would happen with it if it hadn't been reallocated somewhere else.
Well, that- to me, to make a long story short, if it was in the parks, it'll still be in the parks.
Yeah.
So, it
Spending
don't make
money
a
in the
darn
same place.
whether it's, yonder. Now then, I tell you what, we've got everything in the world for kids. So, if you're gonna spend money, if it'll be used, I'd hate to drive by there 5 times and never see nobody on it.
I've been there many times in the past weeks and years, and there are always somebody else.
Okay.
Morning or
I go
evening.
through there sometimes and I see some elderly men about like me eating a sandwich for dinner on that pavement right there. But if that helps kids some way to keep them out of trouble, you know, and we've already got the money there, and that don't mean just run to see if we can find the money from now on and spend it. I'm not saying that at all. That's a no-no. But if it come out of kid deal and going back into more kid deal, that's just kind of like changing a dirty diaper.
Sure.
I mean, it's all going to the same place. I don't see, you know, if he's got enough men to do it, got enough equipment to do it, he's got people that could use it. I hate to agree with him.
But I think we're talking about the fence now, not the irrigation.
Right,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
about the
'cause,
irrigation.
what I would say is, if we're gonna do fencing, let's do that one, and if there's enough, do as
Yeah,
much
if we
as
were
we
gonna
can.
do anything, I'd love to do farm league and little league.
Yeah, and the little field also, as much as we possibly could. Yes, ma'am?
I was just clear up what he said, that basically implying that I coined the phrase rehabilitation.
Oh, no, I coined the phrase. I didn't
Okay.
say you did. You
Okay.
just used my phrase all the
Okay,
time.
well, I'm just verifying that.
Okay, so let's
Thank
move
you.
back into this. 6 foot is, but there was a 4-foot quote also, right?
Yes.
Would a 4-foot fence be sufficient?
Well,
What
as
do y'all think?
we was just thinking about just a minute ago, men are playing on that field as well.
Well, the 4 foot would be a little field, of course, and then the 6 foot.
On the
would be
big
more-
field.
yeah, on the big.
And that's kind of what I was thinking, but I wanted to make sure that you're not knocking it, and of course, you would easily knock it over a 4-foot fence, probably even a 6-foot, because look at Winston Field. It's got a 10-foot fence. But, yeah, I think a 4-foot fence would be fine.
And are we talking about just
At-
one field or
At the
both?
little field, at the large field, it needs to be 6 foot.
Are we talking about fencing both fields now?
And the one field there that's got the holes all in it there where the coach pitch is.
All 3 of them do have holes in them.
All three?
All 3 of them do.
Well, there's nothing like that. But yeah, that's fine. Let's fence them up
Fencing them,
that need.
fencing them, both of them.
Did-
and how big.
I'm sorry.
Now, I measured farm league and little league. And they share a fence with our bullpens and everything. That would only be around 870 feet.
It's 4 foot, right? 4-foot fence.
If we fenced it, I'd like to go with 6.
I agree.
But currently it's 4 foot, right?
Yeah,
That would cost quite a bit more. You'd have to tear those other fences down and start over. Nearly, unless you
the
just put.
the east field, the farm league field is shot anyway. The poles, everything would have to come up. The west field has oil field pipe, but it's only 4 foot. But
Is the water deal that somebody thought they needed to push the rock in on, has it ever been fixed? That little building back there with the pump and all.
He's talking about the old.
oh, that well crapped out 20 years ago.
Oh, so there's nothing there, that thing ought to be just pushed down before somebody got in there and it fell on them and then there would be.
It's all concrete. It isn't going.
You don't think it
It's
is?
gonna be hard to tear down.
It wasn't too bad hard, it done it.
Even the top of it's concrete though. But wouldn't that be a good place to put a pressure tank still, if we cleaned it up inside?
Well, you just fix the
Well,
hole.
remember somebody buried a car in the side of it,
Yeah.
so we can't even get in that building.
Is the blocker on the inside of it? It can't, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's pushed in on the corner, a car hit it,
Yeah.
and it's wedged all those doors. No, it's cracked,
Oh,
and
went-
it's
oh,
in
I
bad,
see what you
it's in
mean.
bad shape.
Yeah.
But
I
it
didn't
would be a
really-
long ways from the water well.
Yeah, it is, but the fields are right there.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. You're gonna have to have a pump house.
Somebody's gonna get hurt is what I was thinking. They get crawling around in there.
And
that'd be
probably the
snake.
irrigation's something that's gonna need to be talked.
Oh, well, that's a different story altogether.
Yeah.
It's a different thing altogether. Okay, Judge, I'll make a motion, we repair the ball field fences. 6-foot fence at the large field at the North Park, 4-foot fence, 2 gates, one at each end of the, backstops. The backstop fencing repaired along with it. That just needs bull wire or whatever, that's part of the fence. I mean, if you don't have, and it's just on the small field that actually had chicken wire on it, and the chicken wire just rusted out. On part of it, some of it has fencing still, I think it's bull wire. That can be repaired by our parks department. They've got one of those real nice lifts that pick you up there and put you on it. After we get that field finished and we've got money left, I think we can fix all the fences you want.
Don't we need somebody to come up with some kind of estimate?
We already did. The cheapest estimate was B&M fencing, but like I said, we
I
come up
mean, the
for
money, how much it costs, not who does it.
$21 a foot for heavy gauge 6-foot. It goes down from there for 4-foot. So $18 a linear foot for 4-foot heavy gauge with galvanized uprights and galvanized top rail.
What color need to be replaced over?
That's plus the gates. The gates are 1950 for welded gates. 1 10-foot, 2 4-foot.
No answer, it's found.
No, sir. I don't need to answer my own spam.
And I think Larry
like
can
spam.
work with B&M to get it right.
Okay.
Yeah, because everything's been thrown out. I didn't write any of that down.
I've got it in my office.
What is your motion again?
To repair the ball field fences, replace them, put them up. They're in North Park, 6 foot at the large field, 4 foot at the little field with 4-foot gates at each end of the backstops. Repair the backstop that needs fencing on it so that the foul balls can't go outside the fence or outside the backstop.
Did you say the large field at North Park?
Large field, large baseball field.
Does that still have a backstop there?
It's got a backstop, but I mean, we're talking 2,000 feet of.
It probably is, but we'd have to go and measure to know for sure, but yeah, it probably is.
See, when we started talking about this, I thought we were just talking about the small
And-
field.
Let me go back to the people that are using it. Is that something y'all want?
They just said they would.
I mean, you don't have to get the whole field on the big field. When I was younger, that field was, I mean, half of that back there was not even used. Of course, the fence was higher, I mean, more in than anything. I mean, it don't have to be all the way out there. I mean, it can be
You do it like Winston
250,
Field.
you know, just like Winston.
Same size fence as
I
Winston
mean, it
Field.
don't have to be all the way back where it
You
used
don't have to
be.
go to the road.
Yeah.
No,
Where would we chase the ball then? From the back,
we're chasing the ball because there's no outfield fence.
outfield?
That's right, or side fences for that matter.
Okay. All right, anything about tow park in your order or in your, motion?
If you wanna spend, you spend all the money you want to tow park.
Indeed.
After we get North Park big.
Right, so that's a motion. Is there a second?
My precinct is a minority precinct, if you know.
Yes, yes. There's a second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Okay.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
You? We did donations. We didn't do the discussion of department head, committee and board reports. I just looked right over that. Did y'all look at those? Same, not same, but they are working. Doing stuff. Thank you. Appreciate y'all coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Where you at, Judge?
I went back all the way to the top, number 5 up there.
Yeah, right here.
Did y'all look at the board reports and all?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Looks like you were busy. A lot of hogs killed.
Yeah.
Raccoons especially, my gracious, poor raccoons.
Need to ask him about a mountain
They're
lion.
menacing though.
Need to ask him about a mountain lion. Out of the golf course.
Yeah, there's been 3 or 4 sighted in Scurry County in the last 2 or 3 years. One lady went out just to go out to the outside of her house and one stood up in front of her. Yeah.
Good golly. Okay, line item transfers and budget amendments?
There's one budget amendment for EMS. This was on the certified revenue that he got from tax insurance for the repair of the ambulance. It's placing it into the vehicle maintenance line, total of $19,176.17.
Ready to make a motion to approve the budget?
All in favor? Accounts payable.
Accounts payable is $623,701.03.
Ready to make a motion to pay the bills?
All in favor? Okay. I don't know if Gary's here or not, so, we're gonna go into executive session for personnel matters.